What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about what the base game, what Predator Hunting Grounds needs to learn from its trial. So the trial is officially over. It's been over for obviously a little over a day now, and we've talked a lot about it on the channel. Yesterday, we talked about some of the things that I absolutely loved about it, and I played it more on Sunday night as well, right before it closed, and I had some amazing matches in terms of just feeling really, really good about it, feeling really, or just having, I guess, a lot of fun. And so the question is, all right, now the test, actually, that is, I kind of just spoiled it. The beta or trial, whatever you want to call it, they call it a trial, was a test, okay? It was a test to see, what are people saying about this game. They were listening to feedback, I think, all throughout the weekend, and I'm sure they learned a lot of really, really important things. So let's talk about some of those things. Now, I don't want to sound too obvious. I don't want to bash them too much because, we had the bashing video. We talked about the things I didn't like about the game, and those things are definitely still true. But I think overall, they know what they're doing. They do, need to obviously improve upon some things. But again, to not get too bashing, but to kind of state the obvious, I think how the game runs, literally the servers, the matchmaking, all that stuff needs to be improved. Again, I will keep saying it because I do honestly feel like it's important. And I know I keep saying it, so maybe you're getting tired of it. But look, Friday the 13th had a major problem. We all put up with it for the first several months. Lack of content and other things, kind of piled on top of it, led to a lot of people leaving the game, myself included. They never really got those people back, and even still to this day, Friday the 13th still has some of the base problems the game still had back 3 years ago. It still has now. That's a major problem. Predator cannot, I truly believe this, it cannot do the same thing. People love it. In a lot of ways, people love it the exact same as Friday the 13th. I'm honestly feeling that. From what I saw over the weekend from people talking about this game on social media, all that kind of stuff, people were having an absolute blast. People were saying, originally maybe they didn't really like it, but then they kind of came around to it. But to be honest with you, Friday the 13th had the same thing. A lot of people really loved Friday the 13th when they first got to play it. So it's not all that much different. So while, yes, they did have a very successful weekend, you still have to be wary. The servers and matchmaking is still a really, really big problem. It should now, yes, I will say this. They, in just a day, probably less than a day, they fixed it to an extent. So the first day, Friday night, it could take upwards of 10 to 15 minutes. Some people were saying that, and that was, by the way, the top right thing where it says like matchmaking, placing, initializing, all that kind of stuff. That said 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, now that is by itself enormously too long. It should never take that long to get into any multiplayer match, any game in the history of the world. It should not. But besides that, when you get into a match, a lot of times, this happened to me really honestly throughout the entire weekend, the game is, I think, most fun when there's 4 people, 4 fire team members, and then the Predator. I really think with the less amount of fire team members that you're given, and with the Predator, honestly, just over a 2-day stretch, the Predators got very good. I mean, there were still some ones that were, maybe not necessarily sure of what they were doing. There were some matches where the fire team was just better, and maybe we could figure things out over the Predator. But sometimes there were elite Predators, even if you were sticking together in a group, the Predators just absolutely annihilated you. They would just come in and it would be game over. And when you have that, that's fine. That's cool. That's part of the game. And that's, if the players are that good, they're that good. But with the more fire team members you have, the harder it is for the Predator to do that. And so I just feel like, again, should not take 10 to 15 minutes to load into a match. When you get into the match, when you are loading, it also shouldn't take an additional 2 to 5 minutes, let's say, to get the round going. So that's on top of things. That's on top of the first part. So you could be waiting 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes for a match. That is absolutely, people don't have that kind of time. People want to jump into a game, play the game, and get out. And so I know I'm getting a little like bashful, stuff like that, but ultimately that is just the truth. People want to get into their multiplayer experiences as quickly as possible, and they couldn't here. And again, maybe adding on to that really fast, the, again, lack of consistent 5 people in the lobby. We know there were probably hundreds of thousands, no joke, I think hundreds of thousands of people playing this game this weekend. So I get it. It's a huge stress on the servers. I understand that. And again, they worked on it and they fixed a little bit of it in very, very short time. So imagine what they could do in a month. They could actually really, really help this. But there really should have been no reason why you were going into half-empty lobbies and going into the game with half-empty lobbies. It may have worked with Friday the 13th. Maybe you could have survived with 5 or 6 counselors instead of like the full amount amount, but at the same time, this game is a little bit different. In fact, this game is a lot different. If you go in with 2 fire team members, I'm pretty sure you're done for. I don't honestly feel like you have a chance. If you're versing a good Predator, I don't think you actually have at all a chance if you're facing a good Predator. I actually entered a match by myself on like Saturday night, and the Predator and I ended up teaming up. He like did like a squatting thing, like signaling he's not going to attack me. So when you have something like that happening, like, yeah, that's cool. We've seen those kind of things sometimes in like Dead by Daylight, but it really honestly should never happen. Really, and here's the deal, because when I was thinking about this video, there's not all that much that they need to fix. Obviously, the graphics and frame rate, those are 2 additional things. Maybe not. The graphics definitely need some help, but the frame rate, really, I mean, put all of your effort towards that. That really is it. One thing I will leave you guys off with is a idea, and also I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Firstly, what should they learn? And secondly, what do you think about this? So hear me out on this. We talked about this in past videos. My theory is that the game can carry itself, that as players get better and better, that the game is going to exponentially increase in terms of like excitement, engagement. It's going to be more fun to play. It's going to be harder to play. But if that, say, doesn't happen, do they need to step in and tweak some stuff? Now, they could make some tweaks on certain guns, on terms of damage. They can make some tweaks on the Predator, his health, his regeneration, really anything, honestly. His weapons, how much damage they do. And so like I want to just throw it in there because like I'm fully aware like there is going to be statistics change, right? There are going to be some things that maybe aren't because I know like his stick, right? His combi stick, that one people are saying like is way, way, way too powerful. And so like things like that, like would they end up changing that? I honestly feel like when it gets to the base game, they probably would. But what else would they change, or how drastically should they change those things? Again, I think what made me feel confident is that over the weekend, like I've said, the Predators seem to get better and better. And even you yourself, when you become, I mean, I can just talk from my own personal experience, but I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. You learn. You learn, and honestly, you learn from the fire team, too. You learn where to probably go as the Predator, where are the good times to isolate people, how do you, and because, again, if you're the fire team and you see a successful Predator, maybe you take some of that stuff in with you when the next time you're Predator. Or again, if you're the Predator and you're doing stuff, you're learning, and maybe you're not going to do something the same way you did it the first time if you know that it didn't work, or maybe something did work and you're going to keep that. So, like, I understand people are going to get better, obviously, with the upgrades to the Predator. I'm mainly talking about the Predator because you need at least I feel like you need at least a decent enough Predator to make the match feel really scary. Like, it's not going to be much if the Predator's got no clue and he's easily dispatchable, right? You can easily take him out, and you just go through and you do the missions and stuff like that. Honestly, there is a balance that you have to strike there of what is the proper, like, I guess, tension, or like where you feel like the Predator is an enemy, where he is kind of like stopping you in your tracks. Where is that sweet spot? And I feel like we've seen some matches like that, and it'll just be interesting to see when the base game comes out how, like, are people going to take it to that next level, and are we going to see that in more of like a big wave? And if we don't, do they fix something like that? Can you fix? Again, that's my question to you guys. Can you fix something like that? So ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, again, frame rate, graphics, those are two big ones. The servers and matchmaking, I think, is the most massive one. Really, again, there's not much else. The customization is awesome. Unlocking gear, unlocking perks, unlocking weapons, all that kind of stuff. I mean, yes, there's some things. I got stuck as the Predator a couple times where it wouldn't let me jump. I could not jump. I could not run. I couldn't use stamina. Sometimes when I pressed X to jump into the trees, he would miss the trees and basically just do leaps, and I'd be stuck in the animation for a while. So there were bugs. There were absolutely bugs. And again, it kind of seems repetitive or tedious or not even worth saying that, yeah, those kind of things they need to solve. They need to snip it, right? And then when the game comes out, those things can't be in there. The biggest thing, again, I don't want to be super critical on these guys, but the biggest thing is this is a lot like, I will say it again, like Friday the 13th. These things were in Friday the 13th's beta. These things were in Friday the 13th. They weren't all that much fixed. And then from that point on, Friday the 13th didn't have, they never fixed it. Really, I mean, yes, they tweaked some things. Some things went good and then went back to being bad. So things like that, you have to keep an eye. There's a lot of positivity. I want to be positive. I love the beta. I love the trial overall. I had so much fun. I cannot wait to be able to play this literally whenever I want, not just just like, oh man, I have to play it in this 48-hour stretch, right? I cannot wait. But it doesn't mean we let our guard down. It doesn't mean we let them get away with stuff. Things need to be improved. If you find someone that says like, no, it was perfect the way it is, they don't need to fix anything, I really think you're giving them too much credit. I think they deserve all of the praise they're getting. It's a really fun time, but there are definitely things that they need to work on. They have an entire month. Let's see what they can do, and I'm hoping at the very least, can we have the matchmaking? Can we have it at least cut in like half, somewhere in that range? I really want to get into matches, less than 20 minutes, let's say, okay? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Again, what do you think? What are some things that you think the base game needs to learn from the trial? Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now, and hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. I'll be going back to doing Predator videos like once a week. We'll be doing it about once a week until the game comes out, and then we will have loads of videos, again, discussion, also helping you guys out in the game, all that kind of stuff. So very, very exciting. April is going to be a really, really fun month for Predator, and I hope to see you guys there.